Okay, I had said that Trump was a racist and a fascist. Okay, well, it's starting, and it's already started. There have been several incidences at Trump rallies where protesters have been physically accosted by the supporters of Donald Trump. In the latest case, you're going to see a protester who is being removed from one of the Trump rallies, and and one of the supporters sucker punches him, basically, hurts the man. He continues to walk, and then the deputies turn around and take the man who was sucker punched down to the ground. Now, they weren't paying attention, and this is ridiculous. So, fortunately, someone took a video of the situation, and they basically, well, it wasn't just someone. Private parties took a video, but the cameramen who were actually at the rally were videoing the guy as he was being walked out, and they caught the whole situation on video. It was only after it went up online and went viral that the police went back and arrested the person who sucker punched the protester. But and Donald Trump's statements basically are totally in support of his people manhandling, accosting, and assaulting protesters at his rally. Here we go.
We have new video into our newsroom. It's from last night at a Trump rally in North Carolina, and what it shows is a black protester being escorted out of the building. On his way out, a white man in the crowd jumps up and punches him in the face. According to affiliate WRAL, that man, 78-year-old John McGraw, has been arrested, charged with assault and battery and disorderly conduct.
Now, you notice that the guy got punched. Okay, he continues to walk as he's going down, and then it's the police who jumped on him. Why the hell would the police jump on a guy that got punched? That's bullshit. And the Trump rallies, basically, the Trump campaign is saying, we are not involved. Hell, if you're not involved, it's your goddamn rally. You're responsible for anything that goes on there.
A statement from the Trump campaign, 4 words, quote, "We are not involved." Let's start with NBC's Kerry Sanders. He's in Miami right now ahead of tonight's GOP debate. Kerry, what more do we know about that altercation last night?
Well, even before this happened, and even before Donald Trump took the stage, I was there at the gathering, at the rally, and there was a lot of boisterous activity outside, protesters who had gathered outside, and it was very clear that there were going to be some people who would stand up and try to make their points known. Of course, this rally wound up having more than 10 separate moments where people tried to disrupt what was going on, but it's this video that perhaps is the most disturbing.
And the funny thing about it, that's a black cop walking up behind him, and he turns around and takes a look at the white guy that punched him and didn't do shit.
Because what you see is the Cumberland Sheriff's Office deputies escorting a protester out, and bam, hit right in the face, sort of sucker punched by somebody in the crowd there. Now, the Cumberland Sheriff's Office says that the police officer in this case had his head down when the person took a shot at him, and then of course there was a little bit more of a scuffle afterwards. I guess what makes it so unusual here is that the protester who was hit in the face was the one that the authorities then put into handcuffs and took out. It wasn't until the video of that sucker punch wound up on social media that the sheriff's department began their investigation. It's confusing because there were so many deputies there at the scene, and apparently none of them did anything, apparently saying that they didn't see the sucker punch.
Yeah.
It was only until it went on social media that the sheriff ordered an investigation, and as you noted, and I think we have a mugshot here of John Franklin McGraw, who is taken into custody now. He's being held on $2,500 bond. Now, meantime, a lot of the climate that is taking place around the Donald Trump campaign is a question that was actually put to President Obama about whether Donald Trump has foisted a climate of anger, and whether some of that is a reflection of those who have been so dissatisfied with President Obama. This is what the president had to say.
The tone of that politics, which I certainly have not contributed to, I have not, I don't think that I was the one to prompt questions about my birth certificate, for example. What you're seeing within the Republican Party is creating an environment where somebody like a Donald Trump can thrive.
And so the debate tonight will likely bring up a lot of questions. I think we'll probably hear something about this. And also, of course, the discussion of Donald Trump's comments about Muslims. Here in Florida, they're a sizable group, about 500,000. Of course, we have many, many more who are not Muslim that are registered to vote in the state. And of course, this state matters because it's a winner-take-all. And if Donald Trump can win here, he walks away with 99 delegates, a significant haul. Kate?
And Carrie, I just want to go back to the video just for a moment, since it is so new here. And it's important, I think, to note, as you did, that you see this young man walking up the stairs, he gets punched, and the officers who are around him continue to walk and then actually take him down, the protester. He spoke to the Washington Post. His name is Rakeem Jones, and he just recently this afternoon said, "The police jumped on me like I was the one swinging." He added, "My eye still hurts. It's just shocking. The shock of it all is starting to set in. It's like this dude really hit me, and they let him get away with it. I was basically in police custody and got hit." And Carrie, you noted this, but this is not the first time we've seen violent kind of outbursts at Trump rallies. And in fact, I was at a rally in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago where Donald Trump was the one encouraging his supporters to go after protesters. Take a listen to what he said then.
Honestly, I hate to see that. Here's a guy throwing punches, nasty as hell, screaming at everything else when we're talking. And he's walking out, and we're not allowed, you know, the guards are very gentle with him. He's walking out like big high fives, smiling, laughing. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Carrie, I was in that auditorium. From what I could see, the protester never threw a single punch. I watched him as he was being escorted out. He did this, you know, he was playing and mugging to the crowd, but he didn't do anything violent, and Donald Trump said we should punch him in the face. Is the Trump campaign concerned that they are engendering a level of hysteria in the crowd that leads to violence?
Well, I will tell you this. Last night, they didn't do something that they have done at other rallies. At other rallies, they play a pre-recorded statement to the thousands that are there, and they say this is a private event. We don't want anybody to protest, but if somebody protests, we ask the supporters not to touch him, but to surround those protesters and start yelling, "Trump, Trump, Trump." In fact, when they play this recording, it generally gets a good sense of laughter. They didn't play that last night, and at times, I think you could say that it appeared that Donald Trump was, in many ways, encouraging his supporters to show how they felt about the protests. Didn't come right out and say throw a punch and knock somebody down, but I think what you do point out here is there were several officers around this young man, and as you look at the video and you see him being taken out, he is being taken out because, quote, this is a private event and he's disrupting it, but as he's being taken out in the custody of deputies, he gets sucker punched there, and it's that point that you believe that the officers would now be responding to protect him from somebody else, where in turn, in this particular case, the sheriff says the deputies didn't see the sucker punch, and it wasn't until it was posted on social media that he fully understood what had happened. I leave it to you to determine whether you see in that video that the police officers who were there would have known what was taking place. But as we know, it was the young man who was the protesters who's then put in handcuffs, and he's the one, as he said to the Washington Post, he's the one who's escorted out as if he were the one who did something wrong here.
Carrie Sanders with the Trump campaign, and we should just note quickly that Rakeem Jones, the man that you saw being punched in that video, will be a guest tonight with my colleague Lawrence O'Donnell. That's on Last Word tonight. And Ronnie Rouse, the photographer who caught the ordeal on tape, will also join that discussion. That's 10 p.m. Eastern. Let's go live now to Coral Gables, Florida.
See, and that's what I'm talking about. Those are your police officers at their finest. They're walking out, not one protester, and I made an error. It wasn't a black cop that was behind him, it was a white cop. They're walking out several protesters. The cops aren't paying attention to what's going on. Then I still want to know why they jumped on the guy that got punched and handcuffed him. You know, obviously they must have thought he did something in order to jump on him and handcuff him. So I want to know exactly what they thought they saw, and they need to release a statement to that effect. Now, and if it wasn't for the person who released that video online, the guy that actually sucker punched the brother basically would have been able to walk out of that arena scot-free. So, you know, Donald Trump is our modern day Adolf Hitler. He's getting crowds that salute to him, and in several of the videos of him asking for people to pledge, they're not just pledging, they're giving the Sieg Heil Hitler salute, okay? And he is advocating violence to protesters that basically disrupt his rallies. So now with him last night speaking about the Muslims all hating America, they got to do something and get this man out of here, period.